What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Aftersound here, bringing you Splinterlands content every single day. We also stream right here in this channel every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday morning, so come by and say hello. All right, guys, well, we had another town square today on October 16th, 2023. This is the last one before we have our Rebellion presale beginning in just a couple of days here, less than 2 days. So there was a bunch. It lasted for about an hour. Matt just gave a couple of quick updates at the beginning and then jumped into a bunch of great questions from the community. This is not a full summary of everything there. This is just my 5 kind of things that stuck out, the 5 biggest takeaways. So I don't know if there's full summaries put together, but I know other content creators try to cover this in a little bit more depth. For me, this is just the 5 things that I thought were worth sharing with you. Starting with, and I think this is the most important, which is why I put it at number 1, but Matt still thinks that the flywheel is far off. And I think that's important. I think that's important on so many levels, right? Obviously, I've been much more conservative, Papa Bear here on the channel, and trying to be very realistic in what my expectations are. And I don't disagree with him. But I think what's fascinating here is that there is a very clear difference now from the top down, from leadership. Whereas when you had Agro on, Agro was talking about, he's a perma bull. So there's, Bitcoin bull run is right around the corner and things are going to look amazing. Whereas Matt, I feel like is taking kind of the opposite approach here, thinking that the flywheel is very far off. Now, realistically speaking, when he says far off, obviously he's not giving a time frame, but I think he is being overly conservative on this. I do think with land, with Rebellion coming out, we could see the activation of the flywheel here. And when I say activation of the flywheel, that doesn't mean SPS is going to the moon. The activation of the flywheel is just we literally do not have enough DEC to service Rebellion selling, a couple 100,000 packs or a couple million packs. Nor do we have enough with land, right? If there's a decent utilization on land. So we will have to burn SPS. I mean, we could burn cards, and some people are doing that now, but we will have to burn SPS most likely, which may not shoot the price up, but we can definitely start to play with and reduce the supply overall. But again, it's more so just a philosophy. It's interesting to hear, we're around the corner from another major release. And, what's fascinating is nobody said push and shove this time. And this is not me throwing shade at Agrid. I actually miss Aggie a little bit. I miss his kind of hype and FOMO because he used to really bring it and he brought it well. But this is just a very different approach. And, over the past month, I think we've seen, again, coming from the top down leadership, a much more conservative approach and not that same kind of hype and FOMO. Now, I think we do need a little hype and FOMO to get everybody excited. So, I'm not saying that Matt isn't delivering on that, but I do very much appreciate the fact that he is staying relatively conservative in his expectations and how he's sharing those expectations with the community. All right, so that's number 1. Number 2, there was a little bit of a land update. Again, people are trying to get some kind of information from Matt. So I feel bad for him because I'm usually critical about the fact that, Matt, just don't give any dates. Even though we all want to hear it, just don't give any dates. And so somebody asked a very strategic question saying, you don't have to say when land is coming. I guess that's really tough. But is it going to be here like in the next couple of weeks? Because if it's not going to be here, then I'm going to go heavier on Rebellion is kind of how the question was phrased. So it's more so not when is it coming, but can you confirm that it's not coming over the next couple of weeks so it doesn't interfere with my plans for Rebellion, or maybe I can go harder on Rebellion because I know that I have time to acquire more DEC for when land does come out. But Matt said 2 things, and I'm going to try and quote him as directly as possible. He did say that he's expecting land well before the end of the year. Again, this is going to be the stripped down 1.5 version. And then he even said early November, and he kind of went back through, the timeline here, saying that obviously the holiday is in December and you have the launch of the Rebellion set, right? General sale and actual launch of Rebellion cards entering the game in early December. Then you also have the Thanksgiving holiday here in the US, which is kind of like mid to late November. So, he said that the target is early November. If I'm looking, at my calendar here, and we're just looking at Tuesday dates, right? November 7th and November 14th are really the ones that pop out to me, because after that is when you get into kind of the Thanksgiving holiday. I mean, you could go all the way after the Thanksgiving holiday to November 28th. But if he's talking about early November, I would say November 7th, November 14th, and each of those is kind of less than a month away, which is kind of exciting. So that's the update on land in terms of when we can expect it. again, I haven't been following much of what's going on in the Mav server. I know some people have been doing a great job helping Farpetrod with feedback and bug testing and all that. It does seem like it's getting better. I've heard really, really great things across the board, that it's improving. The features look good. So we could be a lot closer than people are expecting. All right, number 3. This was actually fascinating. So Clayboyne, and I don't know what Clayboyne's role with the team was exactly in terms of his like official position, but obviously he's a moderator on Discord. He's very very chatty there. Contributes a lot to the conversation in a good way, right? Or in a productive way, I should say. And so the thing is with Clayboyne, he was let go as part of the recent layoffs, but he's been talking to Matt about potentially being hired by the DAO to come in and be a representative for the DAO. Now, let me separate this out because I want to say a couple things. So let's forget about Clayboyne for a second. I like the idea of there being a DAO representative. I think that's something that we've kind of joked about, saying that, you know, there should be like a DAO president or a DAO somebody that we should elect, right? That essentially is managing the day-to-day. Now, I don't know what the day-to-day of the DAO is, but it sounds like if this were to go through, obviously there would be a proposal with more details on how much we would pay, as well as how much and what kind of work we could expect for that pay, right? Because this is obviously coming out of the DAO's coffers. Now, the only risk I see with this, and again, this is why I want to separate, because it's not Clayboyne. It's a risk all over. It doesn't matter who's behind the mask there. It's just, if you're going to give somebody keys or access to the DAO, that just kind of becomes like a third-party risk. And I don't know if there's like multi-sig wallets and access like that. Again, I'm hoping that there is. I don't want to harp too much on this. I just hope that whatever security is required is not going to be like Clay has the keys, right? Clay has the keys to the entire castle and can run away with it if he wants. I don't think that they would set it up that way. And again, this is not a commentary on Clay himself. This is more so just that would be my biggest concern. But having somebody to come in and represent the DAO, my big thing is how much value can they provide? What are the things that they are going to be able to do? And the best part about this is the fact that, let's say we do bring someone on. Let's say we do bring Clay on for, I don't know, a contract position for 6 months or a year or however they design it. I think we can go through and try to see and almost quantify how much value he can bring to the DAO if he's actively seeking partnerships and different types of things that they were discussing. So we don't have much information on this yet. I'm actually very curious and excited to read what this DAO proposal is going to look like. It sounds like we're going to get it later this week. But switching over to Clay, what I will say about him is, like I said earlier, you know, he's an active member of the community. He's a large stakeholder in SPS. He has a lot of ideas that I think are fascinating and I agree with. He has a lot of ideas that are very radical that I don't necessarily agree with. But I do think that he is someone that could be well suited for the role. Is he the best person? I'm sure people are going to make an argument for or against that. That's not the point. The fact is he wants to take on that role. Obviously, he just got let go too, so he is looking for a role. But as something that we do on like a trial basis, depending on the details, as long as they're not, you know, completely obnoxious, I'd very much be in favor of this because we can quantify the results, right? We can put him in there for 6 months, tell him to go chase down any leads that he can to bring some value into the DAO, to find partnerships and X, Y, Z. And if after those 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, whatever it is, he's not doing it, well, then the contract is done, right? We don't renew it, and that's that. But I do really like the idea, especially considering that obviously the team is strapped for resources right now. Now, I don't want to get too far into this, but this does start to bring in a lot more of the questions of what is the DAO's role and what is Splinterland's role in all of this? Obviously, these are going to be two separate organizations, and now they're doing a revenue share where, you know, Splinterlands is getting paid from the DAO and then doing a revenue share with this upcoming sale. Things are becoming very like intermingled. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, but we do need to make sure that when stuff is getting intermingled like this, there is a proper structure and no conflict of interest or anything like that. And so I'm not smart enough and I haven't thought it through enough to speak to it on this video, but just at the very least, I want to acknowledge that it's not just, you know, easy cookie cutter, sunshine and rainbows. We hire someone and that's all great. I think there's a lot that we need to consider with this, but I'm very open to the idea. In fact, I'm very much in favor of the idea as a trial basis to see what can be accomplished over the next 6 to 12 months. All right, number 4, it sounds like we are going to get a card burning event in early 2024. So obviously that proposal to kind of set aside some Riftwatcher packs for giveaways and have like a little great purging event, as I dubbed it a couple of weeks ago. That obviously didn't pass, but Matt is not deterred. He does want to have another card burning event, and he actually called out all the card burning that's been happening. I think there's been like over 1 million or 1.5 million BCX that's been burned over the last couple of days in order to acquire DEC for Rebellion. And he thinks that's a good thing, right? People are responding to the market conditions. People want to get Rebellion. They're burning cards for DEC pretty much at a loss right now, unless you really bought them well below their burn value. But I don't think they've been below their burn value in a very long time, at least not significantly. So here's the thing. Obviously, the card burning is happening because it's making up for past sins. We've had an oversupply of all these reward cards that bot farms have essentially just taken in mass, and now they can burn them for tens of thousands of dollars worth of DEC in order to participate in Rebellion, or just take advantage of the fact that DEC is close to its peg and this is their time to cash out, right? Rather than taking a 70% hit, they want 90% of whatever DEC's peg is. So that being said, getting back to the fourth point here, it sounds like there will be more card burning incentivized for early in 2024. I don't know what this looks like, but according to Matt, and don't hold me or him to this, but it's just like it sounds like it could include some Riftwatcher packs. Again, if the DAO approves any kind of future proposal, but there could be some titles, there could be some promo cards, there could be some other different types of prizes. Again, he was just kind of listing off things. So I do get excited about this. Obviously, there's an opportunity here to clean out a bunch of cards, but I do want to say that I don't think land is going to, I've said this before, I don't think land is going to solve the card problem, but I'd like to see what it can do, right, before we get into a major card burning event. So the fact that we will hopefully get, fingers crossed, land before 2024, it'll give people a chance to really come in and try to take as much advantage of land as possible. Again, it's going to be 1.5, not 2.0, so it's going to be very limited. I highly doubt we get high utilization, but I'd be curious to see what the card market looks like, considering we'll have Rebellion in the store at that point, and hopefully some Chaos Agent cards eaten up off the marketplace. But that's a 2024 thing. We'll leave it there. All right, finally, the last point, a couple of items here that I want to share on Rebellion. So somebody asked, when can we expect to see all the card stats? That is not going to be, Matt said that's probably going to be teased out in posts and in, what's that called, town halls and town squares in the future, but really it's not going to be on the Mav server until about 1 to 2 weeks before the general sale. And even then, those stats won't be finalized because the whole point of this is Mavs are supposed to come in and essentially do some testing and balancing. And if you remember back to Chaos Agent, which is almost 2 years ago, so crazy, I remember Wave Brood. Wave Brood was supposed to have a self-heal option, which they took away because I thought that card was awesome. And then they nerfed it so hard by taking away the self-heal. So, you can expect this. If we're looking at a December 5th launch, I would say that you can expect this maybe around Thanksgiving or right after Thanksgiving. My hope is that if they can deliver it on the 21st, that's going to be right before Thanksgiving. It's going to be exciting times. People will be off for the holidays. They'll be able to spend a lot of time in the Mav server, playing the game, making content, all that. So hopefully they are able to do it in that way. But if not, then I would say the 28th is a full week before, and that's still plenty of time. But that gives you a rough estimate on when you can expect to see the stats in all their glory. A couple other things. This is with the summoners. So Matt did confirm that not all of the summoners are going to be dual element and have tactics. And he's talking about the ones that are not legendary that are going to be coming in with the set's launch. The other part of this, speaking of the fact that they're not legendary, is that they're planning to mess around with different rarities. Now, he didn't mention epic, but he did mention that there could be a common summoner, right? So that could be interesting to see how all of that plays out. And finally, legendary summoners, though, will have both a dual element and tactics enabled for them in order to give them that, real oomph and make it, worthwhile for people to be holding and staking their cards and packs in order to get those airdrops towards the end of the set. But that, guys, is all I have for you guys in this video. Lots to be excited about. I once again appreciate Matt for taking the time, especially in these weeks after such a transitional period for Splinterlands. But I really do appreciate him taking the time to come in, interface with the community, It's been good. It's been insightful. I think it's been re-energizing for many folks, myself included. And so, yeah, less than 24 hours. Sorry, not less than 24, but less than 48 hours until the pre-sale for Rebellion. I'm super excited. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you have anything that you want to discuss further about these or other things that you might have heard from the town square, would love to do that. I'll catch you all in the next video and see you around the game. Take care.